What's up guys, it's Killer Shrew Fan here, ready to bring you yet another requested review video. This video was requested by King Kaiju, thank you so much for that request. Always nice to know that you guys are wanting to see more from us, and they of course requested us to take a look at this, the Collecta Plateosaurus figure. And this was actually one that we were able to track down and get, which is great. So, yes, I apologize to anyone who has put in requests for figures that we don't currently have. Sometimes it's just difficult for us to find those figures, but this one was actually pretty easy to track down. So without further ado, we're gonna bust him out of the packaging and give you guys a closer look at him. Alright, time to open him up. Always a favorite moment for any dinosaur collector out there. And he was just held in with that little piece of tape right there. So this makes for a pretty easy opening here. And if I messed up, hey, I could just do this over again. So there he is, standing free of the plastic prison that once encased him. And as you can see, he does have a Collecta tag tied around his calf there. And he does come with a little plastic tray just to keep his little feetsies from warping during transit, which is nice to see that they care. But without further ado, we're going to get him out of those things and give you guys a closer look at this model. Alright, let's do this. Alright, and there he is without that plastic tray or tag to obscure your look at him. And first impressions of this Collecta Plateosaurus is, you know, it's pretty good. I mean, there aren't a lot of Plateosaurus figures out there, so it's nice to see this guy in toy form. And from a distance, the detail reads, the paint job reads, it's all there. But it's a little underwhelming. And we're going to give you guys a closer look here, starting off at the head as we usually do. So there you can see this Plateosaurus is sculpted with an open mouth, and all of the teeth have been individually sculpted and painted, although there is a little white spilling over onto the lip, which is unfortunate. You've also got a little shrink wrapping going on in the orbital areas, the nasal cavity, the eye sockets, what have you. But the eye is not your typical dino eye. It has been painted a sort of gray-blue with a black pupil rather than the traditional yellow with the black pupil, which is always nice to see some variation. Under the lower jaw there, you've got some lovely bunching up of the skin as the jaw is opened. Perhaps this Plateosaurus is grazing or something. I think the pose of this model is really good for dioramas, so if that's what you're into, this might be the figure for you. Going down the neck, as you can see, you do have striations which have been covered with little pebble-like scales which cover the entire surface area of this body. When we get to the midsection, you get a great idea of the scapula there. Some more lovely wrinkles and folds of skin around the shoulder and the gut, and there we get to the back leg. You see a nice powerful looking thigh. The musculature is all highlighted and reads very well, and the tail, once we get to the tail, as you can see, it slopes downwards and is being used as a balance point for this Plateosaurus and flicks off nicely to the left. Again, the scaling and texturing striations continue all the way down the body and cover the entire area of this Plateosaurus model. And, you know, for what it is, the detail on this thing is fairly well done. I mean, it reads from a distance, and up close it holds up under scrutiny. Going back up the opposite side, it's the same story. You've got lovely wrinkles, striations, folds of skin there. You can get a better look at the legs, which we will show you in a minute, but you've got more lovely musculature and anatomy, especially in the legs and the arms. Under the neck there, you've got a lovely bunching up of skin where gravity is working to pull all of the sagging flesh down. I love seeing that sculptural detail on dinosaur figures, especially sauropods, and yeah, and then we get up to that lovely head where you get all of those lovely throat wrinkles and bunching up of skins. The claws on this Plateosaurus are sculpted kind of in a pronated fashion. I'm not sure. I know theropods aren't supposed to have that. I'm not sure about Plateosaurus. That's a mystery to me. But they do have a sleek black claws. No real weather or texturing going on, which is unfortunate. But the musculature, like I said, is very well sculpted. You've got a great bicep, and the definition is all very clear. And once again, you can see that lovely area under the neck. The legs here look nice and stocky. Again, we have just simply black claws, nice airbrushed on, no weathering, texturing whatsoever, which really doesn't give it a nice lived-in feel that I like to see. But the calf muscles on this thing are very well sculpted, look incredibly bird-like, and read very well, both up close and far away. They are not jarring whatsoever. They don't look fake, we'll put it that way. Here you can get a better look at the sort of midsection, and I do love the shape here. It's got a nice round belly. It's not like it's sort of sucked in, like it's emaciated or anything, but it's nice and round, which leads me to believe this Plateosaurus is well fed. So, as far as the overall pose on this model, as you can see, it is rearing up with its front hands sort of reaching forward, which leads me to believe it is grazing on a low-lying tree of some sort, or it could be rearing up in a defensive posture, possibly at a predator or at a rival, or maybe it's trying to show off for a mate. It's really anyone's call here. I think this model, the way that they posed it, is both simple but also very, very open for interpretation, which is great for dioramas and children alike. As far as the color scheme goes, it's a little boring. It's mostly just greens and gray greens and then like an olive green on the back for stripes. But that being said, they all flow really well from one color to the next. There is never a moment where my eye feels like it's being like, whoa, that's a color transition, you know? I mean, they all gradiate really nicely. It's very well painted. Going down the back, you can get a better look at those stripes, and they cover the entire surface area, and they continue all the way down the tail, which is great to see that they don't just stop, you know, at some point. Hasbro. But no, I am a big fan of this paint job. As far as size go, we're going to bring in our trusty dusty tape measure and show you here. So from the tip of the tail all the way to the front, you're looking at right around 7.5 inches long. And from the base all the way to the highest point, you're looking at just under 6 inches, about 5 3/4 inches off the ground. So a decent size, and the biggest Plateosaurus toy that comes to mind. We're going to do some size comparisons for you here. Alright, so first up we're going to go ahead and bring in the old Carnegie Plateosaurus. This is possibly the most well-known toy, at least in my understanding. It's the first one that I came across when looking for Plateosaurus figures. And as you can see, Collecta's does stand a little taller and looks a little better. Next we're going to bring in Schleich's goofy representation of the Plateosaurus. And I think it's fun to see all three of these together and the disparity of style in between the three different companies. And of these three, I really got to give it to Collecta here. If you want a Plateosaurus toy, go for Collecta. They have the best one. And finally, for size comparison, I thought this would be kind of fun to bring in the Coelophysis, mostly because of BBC's Walking with Dinosaur documentary. I distinctly remember a scene where a Coelophysis interacts with a Plateosaurus. And again, this kind of highlights that whole maybe it's rearing up to ward off a predator thing. I mean, it works. It works on all fronts. Grazing, predator, mating, what have you, you could do it. And I think this size comparison really shows that. Well, everyone, that is going to do it for our look at the Collecta Plateosaurus model, and overall, this model, whereas it is good, it's nothing too incredible to me. It doesn't really stand out on my shelf. It's not really something that I would actively pursue and want to add to my collection. However, that being said, if you are a fan of Plateosaurus, or if you want a good Plateosaurus model, this is definitely the one you need to go for. It is by far the best that you can find at an affordable price. I don't even know if they make like statues of this species. This might be the only mass-produced model that is good for this species. So overall, I think I'm going to go ahead and give this guy a 6.5. You know what? No, I'm going to be generous. I'm going to do a 7 out of 10. It is well sculpted, well painted. I like the pose. But overall, it just kind of gets lost in the shuffle for me. It's not a standout. As always, I would love to know what you guys think of it. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you one of the people who owns it? Are you going to try and get it now? What's your favorite version of the Plateosaurus in toy form, if another one that I didn't mention exists? And let me know all of that down in the comments section below. I'd also like to encourage you to leave any requests that you might have for videos, as this was a requested video, so we might just do yours. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Your support really does mean the world to me. It's why I do this. I do this for you, not for me. Well, kind of for me. It makes me feel like I'm doing something rather than just dumping money into dinosaur toys, but that's besides the point. And if you enjoyed our look at this model today, don't be afraid to let us know we did a good job by hitting that like button. And also, do not forget to subscribe on your way out. Odds are, if you like this one, you're going to like the next one. They're all pretty similar. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in, and that's going to do it for us today. Killer Shrew Fan, out.